All right, before we jump into today's video, I want to hit you with a reality check that's going to make you question everything you thought you knew about running a business. In fact, let me ask you this up front. Do you know why 90% of all startups fail within the first 5 years? I'll give you a hint, okay? It's not for the reasons that you think. These businesses aren't dying because their products suck or because nobody wants to buy what they're selling. They're dying because they can't keep the lights on. I'm talking about cash flow problems. Now, I can already hear what you might be thinking. Oh, great. Wonderful. Another reason why I shouldn't start a business. But hold up. What if I told you that you could start a legit business with less money than you probably spend on your phone, right? I'm talking about starting a real profit generating venture for under $1,000. Now, I know what some of you are probably thinking. You might even be rolling your eyes right now and saying, all right, come on, Gary. What kind of business can you start with $1,000? A lemonade stand? Well, hey, buckle up because in the next few minutes, I'm going to blow your mind. I'm going to show you not just how to start a business with less than $1,000, but also how to turn that micro investment into a 5 or 6 figure powerhouse. And here's the thing. This isn't some BS get rich quick scheme or some pyramid scam. I'm talking about real sustainable businesses that you can start building today, right after this video. Because I think we can all agree. The world of business is different, right? It's changing faster than ever before. Gone are the days when you needed a huge wad of cash or a rich uncle to help get you started. Today, with just a laptop, with just an internet connection, you can build an empire from your bedroom, and many already have. And I'll tell you, it's no wonder with today's economy and the shape it is today, right? Prices keep rising, employees' hours and benefits are being cut. The interest in entrepreneurship, that is skyrocketing. Everyone wants a piece of the pie. And more people are launching side hustles now than ever before. And that makes a lot of sense, right? People are tired of the 9-to-5 grind. They're tired of building someone else's dream. And they want the freedom, the control, the security that comes from being their own boss. And hey, maybe you feel that way as well. I can definitely relate to that when I started one of my first businesses. But here's the thing. Most people think that you need tens of thousands of dollars to get started, right? They're wrong. They're dead wrong. And I'm going to show you today why, what you can do about it, and how to get started. Now, hey, if you're new to my channel, this is Startup 3. I'm Gary Smith. I'm a U.S. Army veteran. I'm a business and marketing adjunct professor, and I'm an entrepreneur. And if you like what you're hearing so far, go ahead and smash that subscribe button and hit the notification bell because that lets me know to go ahead and create more content like this for you each week. That said, some of the biggest businesses, the biggest companies around the world started with next to nothing. Now, Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak, they started Apple in their garage. Jeff Bezos launched Amazon from his basement. And these guys didn't have millions to start with. They had an idea, they had the vision, and they had some courage to go for it. But I won't lie to you, starting a business on a tight budget, it isn't easy. It's like trying to build a house with a hammer and just a few nails, right? You've got limited resources, you've got limited manpower, and you've got a whole lot of the, let's say, unknowns. And most people will tell you that it's too risky, right? They'll say things like, well, you need more money, more experience, more connection, blah, blah, blah. But they're not entirely wrong. Starting a business, well, it's always going to be risky. But here's the thing they won't tell you. Not starting is even riskier, right? Taking a chance on yourself and potentially failing could happen. But what's more risky than that? I would say spending the next 40 years of your life working for someone else, building their dream instead of yours, right? I'll tell you, I've never met a successful entrepreneur who regretted taking that leap, but I've met plenty of people who regret never trying. So let's go ahead and break this down because starting a business for under $1,000, it does have its challenges, right? You can't rent a fancy office. You can't splurge on expensive equipment. You've got to be scrappy. Right, you've got to be resourceful. You've got to be willing to wear multiple hats. You're going to be the CEO, you're going to be the janitor, you're going to be the marketing department and the sales team, all rolled into one, right? It's not easy, but it is worth it. Another thing that people won't tell you is that you do have a degree of flexibility when you're small and starting out that disappears once you reset that certain size, once you scale. So take advantage of that while you can, right? Get into the ability to talk directly with customers, to do the things that you can't always do once you scale and get too big. That said, let's get into the meat and potatoes of how to get started, right? What businesses can you actually start for less than $1,000? And you might want to jot these down because this is really where the value is. Number one is going to be online services. Now, this is the gold mine of low-cost startups. So if you've got a skill, you can monetize it online, such as freelance writing, graphic design, teach a foreign language, social media management, virtual assistant, right? The list goes on and on. Really, the only limit here is your imagination and your skill set. And provided you have the ambition to do it, you can develop the skills to pretty much master anything. But what are we talking about in terms of startup costs? Well, a computer and an internet, of course, right? That's basic. You have to have those. But that's it, right? You can use free platforms like maybe Canvas for design, Google Docs for writing, social media scheduling tools like Buffer's free plan, right? That means your total investment could be as low as $100 for a website, for a domain name, for some web hosting. Now, just to give you an example, some food for thought. I know a guy from Southern California from back when I lived there. Let's call him Mike. Right? Mike was a corporate accountant and he hated his job, right? He decided to offer some bookkeeping services online, and his total investment was about $200 for a website, for some basic accounting software. And within a year, he was making almost as much from his side hustle than from his day job. And then within 2 years, he was able to quit his 9-to-5, run his business full time. Today, he runs a 6-figure online accounting firm and he works for himself. And you might say, all right, Gary, I like the idea of an online service business, but accounting is just not my thing. And I can relate to that. Okay. Not everyone will find their passion in numbers and accounting, but that's just one of several ideas, right? Let's look at a few more here. Just to kind of get you started, let's talk about social media management. In fact, let's kind of break down what a social media manager actually does, right? You simply manage and grow accounts for businesses and for individuals. So in terms of startup costs, right? You need a computer, of course. You need some internet access, some scheduling tools, maybe like Hootsuite or Buffer, and a simple website, right? But where do you find potential clients at? And this is easy, right? Small businesses, influencers, and entrepreneurs. There you go, right? It's that simple. Let's do a few more. Online tutoring is another one. And you might be saying, okay, what should I teach? Well, that's going to be up to you. But you want to offer tutoring in subjects that you're proficient in. Right? For me, it's business, it's marketing, it's entrepreneurship. For you, it might be something else. Maybe it's cooking, maybe it's design, maybe it's teaching a foreign language or a musical instrument. Right? You get the idea, right? You have to think of what this is going to be. But in terms of startup costs, right, you're going to need a website, maybe Zoom or some other video platform. There's free and paid accounts that you can go through, and you might want to do some advertising on platforms like Facebook, like Google Ads, maybe Craigslist. In terms of potential clients, I would tell you to focus on students, on professionals, on businesses seeking advice, or even hobbyists, right? Don't make it complicated because it doesn't have to be. Now, another business that's easy to break into is going to be graphic design services. Now, I don't mean it's easy in terms of the skill level of what you're doing, but I'm talking about already getting into the business if you know what you're doing, right? If you have those skills. So what type of services can a designer provide? Right? Think about things like logo design, social media graphics, branding materials, things along those lines. And if you're wondering about the actual startup costs, you'll need some basic design software, right? You can use maybe Canva for free, or you can get Adobe, right? It's about $20 to $50 a month, depending on your plan. And of course, you'll need to have some money for marketing expenses. And then once we get into clients, right, I would say start with, small businesses, start with influencers, e-commerce sites looking for custom designs. And then after you've made some money, right, after you start growing your client list, you may want to branch out a little bit. You may want to specialize in something that's very specific, maybe unique, right? That's up for you to decide. Now, I know a colleague who loves designing fonts, right? She does other types of design as well, but her passion, the bulk of her business, is centered around designing fonts for mainly e-commerce businesses, e-commerce sites. Now, let me give you one more example before we go to our next category, and that is virtual assistant services. Now, I like this one because I've used this one. And I can tell you, as somebody with a small consulting brand and an e-commerce business and teaching at the universities, this is a service that can save your time, definitely save your sanity. So if you're somebody with virtual assistant skills or you want to start this type of business, this is something that's definitely in high demand, especially right now, right? People are working remotely more than before. A lot of people have more than one job. So how do you get started and what do you do? Well, you basically provide administrative support, right? Such as, managing emails, answering emails, taking phone calls, returning phone calls, scheduling appointments, things along those lines with an administrative focus. But what's it cost to get started? Well, you're going to need, of course, internet access. You're going to need a laptop, maybe a website for promotion. You're going to need scheduling tools like maybe Calendly and Trello, things along those lines. And a lot of times your clients will pay for the software because they might have a specific platform that they prefer to use. Now, in terms of your potential clients, I would say start with entrepreneurs. Also start with coaches and small businesses. Those are going to be really, I would say, your easiest customers to acquire early on. And then you can kind of go ahead and you can grow from there, right? As you begin to develop your reputation, as you begin to maybe perhaps have a specialty. For example, the VA that I use, she works mostly with solopreneurs in the e-commerce space. Now, you can probably think of several more online service businesses with a little bit of effort, but let's keep this moving because I want to tell you about our second category, which is e-commerce. And I want to start with consulting. Now, yes, I may be biased on this one because it's the bulk of my business, but if you've got expertise in a particular field, consulting can be, I would say, easy to enter. It can be profitable, and it comes with little to no startup costs. Right? Your brain is your inventory, your experience is your product, and your knowledge really combined with desired results is usually what you're going to be selling. And whether it's things like business strategy, marketing advice, or life coaching, you can start offering your services almost immediately. Right? You're really, I would say, your only cost might be building a simple website, which can be done for under $100 if you're willing to do some of the work yourself. Or maybe you don't have any web design experience, and that's fine. You can just go onto platforms like maybe Fiverr, and you can hire someone who's going to do that for you, and it's not going to be that much to set up a simple website. And I'll tell you, one of the easiest ways to start offering these services is to advise people already in your network. And then as you get more clients, as you get more credibility, you may want to invest in a fancier website, maybe some basic marketing campaigns. But I'll tell you, today, consulting is a multi-billion-dollar industry with continued growth expected over the next decade. Now, another business with kind of the low barrier to entry is content creation. Now, this is the era of content. And if you can create valuable, entertaining, maybe educational content, you can build a business around it, right? You can start a YouTube channel, you can start a podcast, you can write articles or start a blog, and your initial investment is basically your time. Now, don't get me wrong, right? It's going to take a lot of your time, especially early on at the beginning. But in terms of money, in terms of startup costs, you can start with just your smartphone for recording and free editing software like maybe DaVinci Resolve or something similar. I mean, look at Mr. Beast, right? Whether you like him or not, his is a worthwhile case study because he started his YouTube channel with just a cheap laptop and a terrible, actually a really horrible microphone. Today, he's one of the biggest content creators in the world, making billions of dollars annually. So start with what you know. Begin with what you have, and then level up your equipment as you progress, right? And you begin generating some revenue. Then you can kind of level up your things and your skills, your equipment. Another well-tested e-commerce business with a low barrier to entry is dropshipping. And if you've never done dropshipping before, one of the major benefits of this retail fulfillment method is you don't have to maintain any inventory. All right, you don't need to have a warehouse. Instead, when you sell a product, you purchase the item from a third party, and then you have it shipped directly to the customer. In fact, you can set up a Shopify account for as little as $29 a month, at least right now, at least at the time I'm recording this and filming this. And you can also use a free theme, right? Which means to kind of get started, that's going to run you about $300 for the whole first year, right? So that includes your domain, your registration. So it doesn't cost a lot to get started. And here's a pro tip for you. Start with a niche product, right? Don't try to be the next Amazon. Find a specific problem and then solve it. Now, I know a woman who started a drop shipping store selling eco-friendly products for pets, for pet owners specifically, and she only invested about $500 to get started. Last year, her store did over 6 figures. All right, so there are a lot of examples that you can use, you can draw inspiration from. That's just one of them. Now, I have one more for you, and it's not just because we're nearing the holiday season, but let's talk about personal shopping and errand running. Because with the rise of the gig economy, right, there's a growing demand for these services. I would say more now than ever before. And you can start this business with just a reliable mode of transportation and a smartphone, right? It doesn't get easier. I mean, think about it. It's kind of like that gold mine, right? That's hiding in plain sight at just the right time. Because with our fast-paced lives, people are willing to pay good money for someone to do errands, right? These everyday tasks. And guess what? That someone could be you. Now, here's the beauty of starting this business. Your startup costs, they're next to nothing. So let me break this down for you, what you're going to need to get started. First thing you'll want to do is you'll want to sign up for some of these gig platforms, things like TaskRabbit, Instacart, or even Shipped, because these platforms, they do that heavy lifting for you. They find the clients, right? So they're like your digital storefront. And I recommend starting with just some basic services like grocery store shopping, maybe picking up dry cleaning. Then as you start to build your confidence, right, and your reputation, you can expand to more specialized services, maybe like personal gift shopping or organizing homes or offices, which is in high demand right now. Now, in terms of your startup costs, your main expenses will be gas and vehicle maintenance. And here's something that you'll want to do, and you can do this right from the beginning. Make sure that you keep meticulous records, right? Record your mileage, record your expenses. These are tax deductions that you'll want to give to your CPA or your tax preparer, whoever does your taxes for you each year. Now, quick disclaimer. I am not a tax preparer. I am not giving any tax advice. I am not a tax attorney. You need to hire a professional for that. Next, I want to talk about pricing, because these platforms typically don't allow you to set your own rates at first. But here's a pro tip for you. Provide some excellent customer service. Once you do that, once you get some reviews, right, that should enable you to start commanding those higher rates. And that's how you begin to build your brand. And like some of these other businesses that I shared with you today, as you begin to get more clients, right, as you begin to level up your skills, you'll begin to earn more revenue, which you can then use, right? You can maybe get yourself some business cards, maybe get a better website or a simple website done for the first time. Maybe you want to start collecting email addresses, right? And hey, that's something that you can do that costs almost nothing. You can do it right from the start. That said, the key to all these businesses that we discussed here today is to start lean, right? Focus on getting customers and then reinvest your profits, right? Don't get caught up in vanity metrics. Revenue is vanity, profit is sanity, but cash is king. So don't let limited funds stop you. I mean, I'll tell you, some of the biggest companies in the world started in garages and dorm rooms. Now, if you want to learn more about how to launch, grow, and thrive during the first few years of your business, just click or swipe this screen to watch this next video.